How to Stay Invisible. Chapter 20. You feeling okay, Ray? Harlan asked in Art. Raymond had spent the entire night before whittling a matching plate, bowl, and cup, along with an extra set of cutlery. By morning, he had a full set of dinnerware, and his hands were calloused and sore from the constant work. But he had kept his mind occupied and off Stiggs. It also kept him awake. Yeah, I'm fine, he said. Their art teacher tasked them with making white papier-mâché hearts that would be used as decorations for the semi-formal dance. Raymond wiped his forehead and dipped the paper in the glue mixture while Harlan cursed under his breath. Harlan's hands were covered in glue, and he had bits of paper stuck to his fingers. It's just you look terrible, Harlan said. He accidentally knocked over the pile of construction papers and scrambled to pick them up and get back in his seat. Then he lowered his voice. Your parents showed back up? Raymond shook his head and tried to smile like it didn't bother him. I'm fine, really. Just a little tired. Since his argument with Stiggs, he hadn't been sleeping well at all. He tossed and turned at night, having nightmares of the children's home and Stiggs and even Harley and Lexi sometimes. He had tried everything he could think of to help him sleep. He tried making tea from leaves and bark, but that only upset his stomach. He'd even tried jogging laps around the camp to try to expend more energy. Hank loved that, running circles around him as he jogged. He hadn't slept this poorly since his early nights in the hollow before the sleeping bag and before Stiggs. Hank had been around more, which usually made Raymond, feel protected and help him sleep. But over the last few nights, Raymond had realized how much noise Hank made. He snored, he tossed and turned, and his paws scratched the outside of the tree. He even howled sometimes in his sleep. Not full coyote howling, but it made Raymond wonder about Hank's dreams. Harlan was looking at Raymond quizzically, so Raymond tried to shift Harlan's attention. Your heart looks a little lopsided, he said. Harlan's heart looked more like a football to Raymond. This ain't even art, Harlan said, trying to scrape the paper from his fingertips. Raymond laughed. I thought you were excited about the dance. My grand's making me go. I ain't keen on going alone. You sure you don't want to go? I'm sure, Raymond said, smiling at the thought of Harlan all dressed up for a dance. He thought of Lexi and quickly pushed the thought from his mind. Even if he had something to wear, he couldn't go to a dance. The science fair was held that Thursday in the school's library. All the science teachers in the building acted as judges, walking through the library with clipboards, making their decisions while their students followed after them, looking at the projects. After school, parents and staff were invited to come and participate in the awards ceremony. Raymond and Lexi took home third place, losing to the first place group called Solar Powered Living. They stood on a little stage with the other winners as Mr. Rosen presented the awards. To Raymond's extreme displeasure, Joseph took second place with a project on sports drinks and their ability to contribute to endurance. Good grief, Lexi whispered to Raymond. How hard is it to drink a bunch of Gatorade and see how fast you can run? As much as Raymond disliked Joseph, he had to admit that his project was impressive. Joseph had recorded himself testing his hypothesis and had mounted a tablet to his display board. Raymond and Lexi watched as a tiny Joseph ran across the screen over and over. "He's on the cross-country team, and I've seen him run. Trust me, he needs all the help he can get," Lexi said. Raymond smiled. He hadn't realized how competitive Lexi was. Raymond could see Lexi's mother and father standing among the parents, along with Lexi's little sister. Raymond thought she looked like a miniature version of Lexi with red pigtails. "Maybe we should have included Gatorade in our experiment," he said. "I guess there's always next year," Lexi shrugged, and Raymond's chest swelled at the prospect of another project with Lexi. "Be right back," she said when the ceremony was done, and she made her way over to her family. Raymond watched as Joseph's father hugged him, clapping him on the back, genuinely proud. A knot formed in Raymond's stomach. Joseph caught his eye, and Raymond quickly stared down at his shoes. Joseph's mother and Lexi's mother were laughing about something, and Raymond wished he could ask what was so funny. Even though he was a science fair winner like every other kid in the library, he felt out of place. He looked around and realized that he was the only student there without a parent. He fumbled with the third place ribbon and tried to become invisible, concentrating on the pattern the linoleum floor made instead, counting the little squares. When he looked up again, Stiggs was standing in the doorway of the library. Before Raymond could move, Miss Marcus was standing in front of Stiggs with her hands on her hips. She looked different. Worried? Sad? Maybe both? How did Miss Marcus know Stiggs? Finally, she turned her head toward Raymond, looking him right in the eye. It looked like she was going to cry. Then she softened, turned back to Stiggs, shook her head, and walked through the doorway and out of sight. Raymond was so shocked that he felt he couldn't have moved his feet from the spot even if he had wanted to. Stiggs approached him slowly. "How did you—" Raymond started. "You didn't leave me any choice," Stiggs said. His voice was practically a whisper, but Raymond could hear the concern in it. "You didn't come back to the river, did you? I had to call the blasted school to see when the science thing was." Raymond looked back at the floor. "I'm sorry, Raymond. I overstepped. I was just worried, and I'm not going back to a children's home," Raymond said. It was almost a whisper, but his voice was steady. "I am not," he started again. But Stiggs cut him off before he could go on. "It's okay, kid. I understand. Trust me, I know how you feel. I mean, I wish you would tell me what's going on, but you don't have to. I took care of myself my whole life, and look how well I turned out, eh?" Raymond could tell he was trying to be funny, and he was grateful. "When you're ready, maybe." Raymond nodded. He looked around and then back at Stiggs. Then he threw his arms around the old man and squeezed. Stiggs was momentarily stunned, but he clapped him on the back. "All right," he said, laughing. Raymond let go. He wished Harlan was there too. "Well," Stiggs said, "I guess I better get going." "How do you know Miss Marcus?" Raymond asked. He wasn't ready for Stiggs to leave. "Small town, remember?" Stiggs said, and he forced a smile. Raymond's brow creased. Stiggs cleared his throat. I'll see you this weekend then? He asked. Raymond nodded again. He felt like he should say something else, but he didn't know what. Stiggs looked out of place in the school, and you could tell he felt it too. Nice ribbon, he said. Then he pushed through the door. Raymond smiled and gripped the third place ribbon. When he turned around, Joseph was standing there. Who was that? Joseph asked. A friend, said Raymond. That old man is your friend? Joseph said with obvious skepticism. And he just shows up at a middle school science fair? Where are your parents then? None of your business, Raymond said, feeling a surge of confidence in the wake of Stiggs' visit. Raymond didn't know why Joseph was so suddenly interested in him. He wanted to get away from this conversation as quickly as possible. Joseph jabbed a finger in Raymond's chest. You obviously have Lexi fooled, but you haven't fooled me. Remember that. Raymond took a step back, moving away from Joseph's finger. Bye, Joseph, he said with finality, and walked past him. Lexi was waiting to introduce Raymond to her family. He should have been overjoyed to have Lexi's father shake his hand, but Joseph was still staring at him, which made it hard for Raymond to feel anything but comfortable. The next day, Raymond was careful to stay away from Joseph, and Joseph, in turn, seemed to forget about their run-in. He seemed too preoccupied with talk of the science fair success and plans for the semi-formal. Raymond would catch him looking his way on occasion, but he never said anything else to him.